Welcome back to Ink Drinkers Anonymous, where I read obsessively so you don't have to. Today we will spiral together over the Unmaking of June Farrow. I picked this book up blindly. I had no idea what it was about except for some generational curses. And then I was ambushed by magical realism in the best possible way. And that ambush feels a little like the book itself. Pretty unsettling and one step away from unraveling at any moment. Or unmaking a person. Quick plot sketch. Miss June Farrow herself is living in a small Appalachian town, and she is carrying the legacy of her family line. And it's not a good one. It includes visions, whispers from the small town's people, and a generational curse. She's trying to make sense of her past, present, and fractures in reality that keep happening to her, and she doesn't know why. The book pulls us into questions of time and fate and whether the future can ever really be rewritten. It's a little bit fairy tale stitched together with Southern Gothic, but sometimes it leans just really heavy into pure fantasy. The prose is lovely. I feel like it's very well written, wording-wise, but the pacing is a little bit wonky from time to time, and I did consider putting it down a few times when it got really slow or confusing, because it feels like the author made up all these rules for her magical realism world and doesn't necessarily follow them. It gets a little slippery from time to time. But she managed to create a mood that feels kind of both timeless and off-kilter at the same time, and I feel like that really kind of contributes to the charm of the book and the chaos. June herself felt like a little bit of a mystery, which is thematically appropriate, given the book's obsession with identity and legacy. But we never really get to know her. She doesn't seem to be at any point a fully developed character. And that goes for the supporting characters as well, who are very important to the book. They're all kind of just flat drawings, never a good full portrait of what they could be. I feel like magical realism really thrives when surreal events reveal the deepest human stakes, love, grief, and the fear of choice. Here those stakes are present but really faint. It was like I could just grab hold of the thread but never hold on to it. The book is steeped into the idea of inheritance and legacy. Not just what we're given, but what we're forced to carry because of generations before us. The Farrow women don't just inherit land and names, they inherit silence, burdens, and this fractured reality that June is now facing. It kind of asks, what does it mean to live under the shadow of the choices the generations before you made, and what can you do about it? And time travel here isn't just a gimmick, it kind of is a great metaphor for the way memory works. Memory is slippery, subjective, and at times deceptive. The shifting timelines mirror how we can sometimes reconstruct our own realities and memories depending on how they shaped us, what we felt when going through them. So it's less sci-fi physics of time and more psychological reality of how time feels, and that might explain the slippery slope of the rules because sci-fi and psychology don't work the same. And there is a haunting suggestion that love persists through timelines, looping, repeating, refusing to be erased, but that also means that regret does the same. The recurring motif of doors, thresholds, and the crossings underscore the instability of reality. Every door is both a promise and a risk. Enter, and you might lose the self that you knew. It's a liminal motif. We're living in the back rooms making decisions. And it reminds us that identity is kind of always in flux. And silence is almost a character in itself, probably the best developed one, living in what is left unsaid. The family secrets, the broken rules, the gaps in memory. And it makes you wonder if silence protects or destroys. It can do both. And storytelling in turn becomes an act of survival. To tell us to resist erasure. In the end, this is a story about what we inherit and what we choose to carry, and how much of our identity is our own versus what's handed to us. Love is not gone, the past is not gone, and that love and trauma both loop endlessly through time. So where do I land? I enjoyed the prose and the themes, but the uneven pacing and the lack of development of the characters kind of left me feeling a little bit empty, and I couldn't give it a great rating, even though the idea of the story is great. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. I wouldn't say run out to read it, but I would say read it if it's on your TBR. The ideas of the book are stronger than the execution, but the ideas themselves are compelling enough to keep going. Have you read this, and what did you think? Do you think magical realism has to follow the rules, or is it allowed to wander? I kept wanting firmer world building, but what did you think?